Hello everyone, I'm Vicky Stitch and Button. Today is May the 4th, so may the 4th be with you. I am decked out with my cup and my shirt, and I will be stitching some Star Wars stitching later on tonight. Gotta do this video first though, right? Alright, I am going to get right into it. I got a bunch of stuff lined up here, piled up in my way, and I want to get it put away. So let's show you all the stuff I've been doing in the past couple of weeks. You ever go, I didn't stitch that much, and then you start pulling out all the stuff you stitched on, and you're like, oh, well, but maybe I did. Problem is I haven't stitched a lot in the past couple of days, so it always feels like, well, that's forever. Well, getting ready for the video told me otherwise. So let's go with, most of you have seen it all over social media because I plastered it absolutely everywhere, so you've probably seen it 12 times. Or not, I don't know. So I'm going to show it here. I finished One Nation. This is from Bygone Stitches. I'm going to try to, I don't have a board big enough right now, but I'm going to try to show you. This is from Bygone Stitches. Give you a little close-up over here. All the states are in the order that they joined the Union. I put Pennsylvania in gold because that's my home state. Yes, I'm in Florida. Yes, I'm moving back to Pennsylvania, so it's my home state. All done. I ended up finishing down in this corner, and I put my initials in the year down there, and finished that last week. Stitched with the called for threads, which are Classic Colorworks, and stitched on Creekbed Brown from R&R Reproductions. I will be getting this one framed. I'm looking. Now, they tell you what you need, but I did mine on 32 count. And maybe because I did it on 32 count, I still had a leftover skein of the red, the white. I had almost a whole skein of the Blacksmith Blue. I've said it before, you don't really need the antique lace. I don't think. Either I would just pick an off-white, an Ecru, or a 3865, or maybe you want to go B5200 or just plain white. But I think you could save a lot of money on that, especially since you need 12 skeins of it. I did use the Cupid. That's when I fell in love with Cupid, and so I was happy to have an extra skein because now I have an extra skein. And then it was extra skein plus. So I didn't even use a whole another skein, so I had one plus, almost a whole blue, and one plus on the white. So just in case you were wondering, but that's 32 count. 36 count, you'll have more left over. 28 count, you'll probably use it all up. So that's my paper with my information on it. I can throw that out. This needs to be framed. I'm going to save up money. That's going to cost a good pretty penny to frame there. This week I focused on getting some goals done, all except for Maurice, my moose. I did not stitch on him, and I probably should have, because I had a few days where I was like, well, I think I've pretty much met all my goals. I'm going to stitch what I want. I probably should have stitched on him. I didn't, but I'm not even mad because I got a lot done. Let's go with, towards the end of the month I was done, and I decided to turn around and randomly pick something, and this is what I picked. This is Stitching with Friends from Little Stitch Girl. It was a free chart to us at Stitch West, and we received that and a needle minder, and I didn't go with the colorway that she put here. It's not my thing, so I ended up using some Silks for You that I had gotten a grab bag of smaller skeins, not the big hanks, and I decided to make those work. I will show them because I put them on some floss drops. This is where I'm going with it. There you go. That's what I'm going with. There's a brighter and a duller color and a bright color, and the light and dark blues. I thought that would work. That's itchy nose. Okay, stitching this on 36 count linen, hand dyed by Vicki Clayton. Doesn't have a name. And I was able to put these in. Put these little stars in here. I also had to frog. Apparently I had done this blue here and came down and finished it off, but it was off by one, so I had to pick it out. So I just picked that out and I did the stars. I also realized when I did this, it's over by one. It's staying there. I won't count off of it. I'll count off the lettering. But I'm happy with the way it's looking. I don't like to do stripey back and forth or up and down with my overdyes, so I sort of pull it and stitch in like circles and squares and swirls to make it just change different instead of just in straight lines. Obviously I was using this color. And I don't know when I'll stitch on it again, but I did get in, I did write it down, I got in a total of 224 stitches. That's just on those stars, guys. There's a lot of stitches in there. So I watched TV and did that. This is the needle minder that they'd given us at Stitch West, so I figured might as well put it on here. And that's that. Put it this way. I don't know if the microphone's picking up the little tappy noises that are going on, but it is June bug season, and they are ridiculous. If I went out right now, I can guarantee there's at least 20 dive bombing at the patio. It happened the last 2 nights. It freaked me out because I can't stand them. Can't stand when they touch me. All right. Next one I did, well, they're not in any particular order. This I did start at the beginning of the year. I ended up putting in 447 stitches for a total of 761. It is a Little Snow from Lizzie Kate. These you have to get off of 1-2-3 Stitch now, since she retired. And I chose my own colors. I ended up, there's a bunch in this A Little series, and I did a little coffee. I also did a little beach, and with each one, I used the fabric that came with it, and you had to pull your own colors. They didn't give you thread with it. So I pulled Vicki Clayton silks that I had on hand, and these are the colors I ended up pulling for mine. I wasn't crazy about these ones, so I pulled my own. Although this house almost looks the same. It's not quite. This is pinker. This is more of a mauve-y brown, I guess. But that's how far I got. I think I did 447. I think I did that all in one day. So it's over half finished, I think. I think that's considerably over half finished. I have a few snowflakes here. I'm not doing all of the little snowflakes. I'm doing the larger ones on there. I don't know if you can see them. But I'm not doing the little specks. But I will be putting a couple more in there. I have snow to put on top of this house still, and along with the snowflakes. I finished all the snow here. I have to do the word and then the little lace border down here. So not much more to do. That should be as finished soon. And this is a new hoop, which I'll get into in the haul portion. I had ordered a set. So that's going to go back in here for now. I was tired of holding this in hand. I'm not good at in-hand stitching. My stitching when I stitch in hand is not as even. I pull weird on it. And hair's falling out. I washed my hair. Right before I did this video, I took a shower and my hair is slowly drying. It should grow about 3 times the size by the time we're done. Okay, next. I also, just the other day, I think it was yesterday, I decided to stitch on this. It's Jim Shore, 12 Days, I think it's called 12 Days Santa, if I'm not mistaken. It's just called 12 Days. I call it 12 Days Santa. This was given to me from Vicki Reading and Stitching, and I swapped out the fabric for 28 count Monaco, just some even weave from probably Joann's or Michael's. because I didn't like the Aida, plus I never trust them giving you enough fabric. I ended up putting in, since the first, 693 stitches. I only had, when I first started, I only had this and this. That's it. So I ended up putting all this border in, all the purple, all the blue, and the border over to here. Most of it while I was watching Picard on Paramount. I want to really love that show. So far, I don't love it, but it's keeping me intrigued. Like, I can't stop watching it. It's almost like a train wreck. You don't want to look, but you gotta. It's just so weird. So, it's not my favorite, and I'm kind of sad that Picard's voice sounds really weak, like he's struggling lately. I guess that's with age, but it's making me feel older. So, I'm gonna keep on watching it, just because that's how I do. Alright, so last night, I decided I'm going to put stitches in Hedgehog House again. It has not had any love in a while. I threw it in the corner. I literally threw the whole Q-snap in the corner because it was a mistake. I thought it was a lot worse than it was. Picked it up, put it away, took it out months ago, and figured out where the mistake was. Pulled that out and put a couple stitches in and put it away. So I can't remember the last time I worked on this. It's been forever. So I picked it up again. Oh, Lord. Stop. Hang on. I'm dropping things almost in the dog bowl. Hold, please. Okay. Phew. Things are sliding all over. I told you I had a lot of stuff. I'm trying to stay organized. Okay, back at it. So, I pulled it out. It's called Hedgehog House. I bought mine from Stitchery Express. Cindy has a bunch of the Lena Lawson needle arts charts, and I'd gotten a bunch. Jay Long sent me a whole bunch. And so anyway, I started this one a while ago, like a year or two ago. He sat, I fixed them, I decided to pull them out and start stitching, and I only got a couple of stitches in because I ended up finding another spot I had to frog. It wasn't that bad. It was only like 15 stitches, basically, these dark stitches that need to go back in there. I put these in, that's it, and then I started putting this in, and then I just didn't feel like stitching anymore last night. But I will continue stitching on this. I want to get, I forget how many stitches I wanted to get in on it. Probably, no, it's not on my, I'm looking, by the way, at my Whip Go board. He is not on my Whip Go board. So I'll probably just go for the 600 for the year because I want to try to get 600 in on all my whips this year. I'm down to 70 whips, and a lot of them have gotten the 600 so far. So I'm good on track. He'll get some more love before I put him away for the month, but that was next in line. We're just going to put this over here. I didn't count how many stitches I've done on them just because I had just started last night. Now let's get this one that just fell all over the place. How about that? Thread's trying to fall out. You know you need your 310. You can't miss out on a 310 skein. Alright, that is... Cool. There we go. Alright, my next one is Ship Concordia. This is a Ronnie Rowe. It calls to use 18 count Aida and 413 DMC. I am using 18 count Aida but 310 DMC. And I put in some stitches. 200 stitches. I forget what for, but I did 200. Probably one of the prompts on Stitching Dead. But I put 200 stitches in. Mostly here. I've been working in blocks of like 3 rows at a time because there's so many holes. It's kind of, you'd think it'd be really easy. It's not as easy as you think. So I've only put in like 200 stitches around there. And I feel like I might have shown this, or I was getting ready to stitch on it with my last video. So this is the front of the ship. that's as far as it goes, and I made sure to get all that done, start at the bottom, and now I'm just working up the front of the ship first. This needle minder is available on my group, and I don't know what other needle minders I've shown. So if you have any questions, you could ask. So that's it for now. I still have at least 300 stitches to do anyway on it for Whip Go. So it will be coming back out, and plus I want to do the 600 for the year at least. So he'll get more love. The other night I felt like working on Emerald Mermaid. Actually, it was picking at me for days to work on her. That's this one by Mirabilia. And this was a gift to me. This is on my Whip Go for 500 stitches. I ended up putting in total last month 615 stitches. And she is being stitched on, just in my Betty Boot bag. Under the Sea Fabrics Atlantis 32 count. And I'm loving how she's turning out so far. She's got a lot of hair. That's what I basically worked on, was all that hair. Her arm and her hair. Because the last time when I first started, I think I might have gotten to like there. And that was it, with this little bit of wreath. So mostly arm and hair. Actually, all arm and hair. But 600 stitches she's done. It marks off another Whip Go square, so that's good. And ET is available on my group. I know I have some of him left. So she'll come out probably again this year. Although I've gotten the goals for the 600 plus the goal for Whip Go. So it's not necessary. Alright, next one. Whip Go called, where is it? Lady and the Tramp in April was on my number 7 square, and that is this one. This was a kit that was given to me from Vicky Radiant Stitching, and I changed out the fabric, of course. It was the 14 count Aida, and again, I don't trust how much they give you, and I didn't want to work on that scratchy Aida, so I ended up pulling out a piece of white Joblin, and I ended up putting 349 stitches in here for a total of 659 stitches. I used it for full coverage Friday, and I think I stitched on it maybe 2 days to get that many stitches, to get my stitches in. So I think this is like a little house we're building in the background along with all that tree. But I made good progress because all that brown was put in, some green was put in also. So good progress, better than the little bit of squiggly green. And the Deliverance needle minder is available on my group. This went away. Alright, next. I don't have the picture for this because I didn't print it out, but I am working on, I've shown before, Miss Piggy and Kermit the Frog. They're both by Fiddlesticks AU on Etsy, and it's just their eyes, a couple of features, and Miss Piggy says moi, and it's her eyes, let me see, the word moi and pearls. So Megan, Stitch in May, dyed fabric for me because I couldn't find the perfect fabric color. So she stitched me the pink, and she stitched me the, she dyed me the pink and the green, so I don't have to do all the background stitching. And I finished Miss Piggy's eye. It was 408 stitches because I had to fill in all the blue, all the white, and the rest of this black over here, and then this little bit. So I've got a total of 408 stitches on this so far. I still want to get in at least another 200 stitches, and I'm looking, and this is not on my Whipco board at all. I think I just picked it because I felt like stitching something and didn't know what to stitch. This needle minder was for my friend Gina. That I got in February, I think. I was able to put, in case you're wondering, Fiddlesticks AU does work in Pattern Keeper, and that's where I have her now. Another reason why I didn't need the picture printed out. Alright. Back in April, Guardians of Notre Dame was called on Whipco. It was space number 10, so I needed to put in 500 stitches on that, but I want, again, 600 stitches for the goal. I should just change it all to 6 on Whipco, which is fine. So I ended up pulling this out on the 1st. This is Guardians of Notre Dame. It was a sale on Ingleside Imaginarium's site a couple of years ago, and I bought it when Notre Dame actually caught on fire. That's the day I bought it. But I just started it last year, and I ended up putting in 305 stitches. This is being stitched on 32 count Victoria Motto stitching, Victoria Motto sampler shop. Linen, it was a linen of the month called Shadows on 32 count, and this is where I got to. Basically what I stitched was all the blues and grays in here. That's what I stitched. And a little bit here, but the rest of this was already done. Is looking good. I do like that I'm using the paper pattern on it, and there's there's one without the back stitch, and then there's the back stitch, so that's pretty nice. And that is available on my website. So 305 stitches. I still have some more to go, but that's okay. It'll come out some more this month. It is a fun stitch. It's not bad. It's just enough of one color at a time where you can do a length and then move on to another color, so it's not as fiddly. And that's part of why I like it so much too. Alright. Another full coverage Friday piece, along with a couple of days after that. Yeah, I stitched it a couple of times. Is Wizard of Oz. Scott Gustafson is the artist, and I saw this and fell in love with this when I saw Lisa Silver Stitcher. She doesn't do videos anymore. When she stitched this, and I kept on eyeing it up. Finally pulled the trigger, got it kitted up, and started it. Alright. So in April, I'm doing some quick math, 296 stitches, and there's a total of 496 stitches for the year so far. So it hasn't been, it's on my Whipco board, but it hasn't been called yet. But full coverage Friday, and I had been thinking about this, and I'm loving how with most full coverage, you don't get anything at first. So I'm loving how I'm getting a thatch roof. And I worked mainly on oranges in here and golds. And this needle minder, I believe, was from Mad for Minders. I'll be okay. Alright. I'm going to shift gears. Blink of an eye, and I'm back. So, I've got plans. I've got some stuff that I purchased, and I have some gifts, and some... That's it. I think that's it. Oh, one more thing. I have mentioned several times before, Stitching in the Springs, that's in Ohio in November, that has since sold out. I know that I talked to Kat last night, and she's talking to a bed and breakfast that's like across the street from the hotel to see, just in case she needs more spots, if maybe they'd have something available at a discount or whatever. So I'll let you know when I find out. All right. I made some purchases. I couldn't find my one small hoop. Of course, since then I found it. And I decided to go on Amazon. I had heard about these before. They are called Caydo, Caydo. And I bought a set of these. One you saw on A Little Snow. Total purchase was like $10, $11 with taxes. And you get 3, 5, 6 hoops altogether. 6 different sizes. I'll show you this one. It's got this plastic around the screw so you don't have to worry about hurting your fingers. It makes it a lot easier to tighten. Also, I don't know if you can see, it's got a hump on this portion and then a valley on this portion, and it helps keep your fabric just a little bit tighter. Now, it is kind of flimsy plastic. One thing I do like though is they have a metal nut on this side, so it's not going to strip the plastic, so it'll tighten up nice. And even though it's plastic, like not real sturdy plastic, it's not bending like I thought it might, you know, distort this way, but it doesn't. It seems to hold it well. I was happy with the Lizzie Kate that I'm working on, but that's also stiff fabric, so it doesn't need that much to pull it taut. Now, with what I'm getting ready to stitch on, I'll use one of these, and maybe I'll have a report back that I don't like it so much on softer fabrics. I don't know. But they give you those and these needles, which they're 2 sizes. I want to say they're like 22 and 24, size 22, 24 needles. Not sure how they stitch. I haven't used them yet. I'll get back to you if I use one. So that's that. So if you're looking into buying, just one of the reasons why I've been using some hoops lately is because I have not shelled out the $100 that it would cost me, or found one when I had money, to get a corner clamp for my Lowry. And these seem to hold better in the Lowry than the Q-Snap. So especially with smaller things that don't have a good margin, like when I was working on my One Nation, the hoop was better because I didn't need as much space on the margins. So that's what those, I have to put those away now. All right, bought those. I also bought, since I'm doing more Cricut stuff, I purchased a small mini heat press. It's, I think it's Dodo Dum or Doodoo Dum. I call it Dodo Dum. Now, the larger heat press, I have a 9x9 heat press by the same company. Works great. So when I went looking, I'm not going to buy Cricut brand. Cricut brand for this size is $50. This was only $40. For the 9-inch heat press, I think was $150. I spent $75 on mine, and it works just as well. Comes with your instructions. It comes with this little carry bag, little storage bag, which I want to put a little, I'll put something that says mini heat press in heat transfer vinyl, and it comes in this box like this, and this is how big it is. It's really good for doing small areas or off to the side areas that your big heat press didn't catch, or doing something small like this. And then when you're waiting for it to heat up, and when in between use, you can put it in here. It keeps it from scorching the table. And then I did read in the packaging, because they send you a little, just a little squirt bottle for water. And I know with heat presses and doing the heat transfer vinyl, you don't want to use water. You want it to be dry. But they say it's for, I mean, you could use this for your clothes. You can like pack this away and bring it with you to iron your clothes on the go, I guess. And that's what the water bottle's for. So I won't leave that in there. I probably won't use the box anymore either. After I get my little heat press thing put on. I haven't played around and made that yet. But yeah, once I get the bag all ready, I'll dispose of the box too. Because apparently I suck at putting things back in the box the way they belong anyway. Okay. So, I also got some more heat transfer vinyl, and I made myself another shirt. This is a teal heather shirt. I think they call it heather because it's got the little black flecks in it. And I made this one. Today's Good Mood, sponsored by Coffee and Cross Stitch. Now, this is like a holographic glitter. It doesn't come off on you though. And black. I made this to replace one that I already bought from Amazon a couple of years ago, 2 or 3 years ago. And it just had plain lettering, and it was really long and just had a couple of words on each line. So the whole thing was that long on the shirt. And I said, you know what? This has got a hole, and it had a bleach stain on the back, like t-shirts get when you're, cleaning stuff around the house. So I decided to make myself, I like the saying. I just made myself a new shirt, and I chose my own fonts. I like the fonts I did better. And so I'm happy with it. So that's a new shirt for me. And I should have made one for Star Wars Day, but I didn't. I also received some Stitchy Kindness in the mail. This one is a purple package from the Tiny Hummingbird Stitchery. Megan, Stitch and May, she sent this to me. She knew I was eyeing it up, and she's a sweetheart. She sent this to me. So I had resisted buying it because, yes, I have a ton of charts, but I really do like this. So now I feel like I need to kit it up also. So that's in the future for that. Thank you, Megan. I've already thanked her. I also received a small package from Vicky Reading and Stitching. She's always purging stuff. She's trying to go through her stuff. And she just finished this chart, and she passed it on to me. Sweet Liberty from Silver Creek Samplers. So, I don't know when I'm going to get to this, but I do like this. I've eyed it up since it was new. Thank you, Vicky. And she also sent me Daisy. I'm not going to kit her up just yet because I have a couple of Pixies already kitted up, but she will be in the running for when I finish some. I got to finish some. I'm trying to give myself goals. Finish one before you start another, right? I want to finish. I'd like to finish a Mirabilia before I start another Mirabilia. I'd like to finish a full coverage before I start another full coverage, that type of thing. So I've been okay. I sort of want to start something, but I sort of don't. I'm sort of happy with what I've got stitching right now. And I had to go through, as you know, I did that kitted up video. And in that, I found things that weren't fully kitted. So I pulled them out. And I put all the kitted stuff back in that basket. And left the unkitted stuff or not fully kitted stuff out. So I could finish kitting it. The other day, I got in 906, which is a green thread that I needed for the 2 Wizard of Oz pieces that I had kitted up. So I went to go put that away today, and I was looking through. I was like, well, maybe I want to start one because I've got 2 finishes lately. Maybe I'll start one. There was nothing in there that was screaming, start me. There was, Minerva was in there, and Raven Queen was in there, but I have all these other Mirabilias. So there's nothing that's screaming at me to start just yet. That could change. You never know. Okay. More on the Stitchy front. I was going through, and April Taylor, she has Homestead Needleworks with an K-E-S, and she makes a lot of wooden boards for finishing. So I wanted to show you the cute packaging that she sent it in. So I've purchased from her before. I know I've shown it on my video, but these 2 are really cute. Hey, Janet Jabba, you might like something like this, by the way. April makes these from wood that they've milled off of their property, and I'm pretty sure it's off their property, but her and her husband have milled it, and she cuts it down and stains it. And look, it's got, I mean, technically I could just put one of those shopping list things on here, but I think this will be really cute they're made for cross stitch finishing. So there's that one, And then there's this one. I'll take out of the package so you can see. And there's some different stain colors, different paint colors. And I got this one. Oh no, I'm trying to, I'll put the card in there. So yeah. So there's her business card. And I'll put her link down below. She is on Etsy. She has tons of different sizes. She actually made boards for some designers. So if you'll go through, you see if maybe you had bought that design. Maybe you need the board. You can get it off of there. I have a couple of boards. I have the whale board that I purchased because I have a whale chart that it actually goes to. And I really need to get to finishing. I've been saying that for how long? So I figure maybe if I buy more stuff, I don't know how this goes in my head, but if I buy some more finishing stuff, maybe I'll actually finish something, right? FFO it anyway. Fully finished. So that is Homestead Needleworks. And then my last purchase was tea. It was not from Sips By. This is by somebody, Fisa, who is part of Virtual Stitchers, although she's been too busy to join with us, but she used to join with us all the time and stitch for a while, few hours at night with us. And she does a lot of, I want to call it like homestead, homemade things. She sews clothes for the kids, and they do a lot of homemade homestead type things. She now has a company called Midwest Blends. Midwest Blends are hand-blended teas, and she is in Minnesota. That's the email, midwestblends@gmail.com. I did talk to her. She does not have a website yet, but she did build a business page on Facebook, which I can link down below. And they are working on a website and everything like that. I had seen, because we're friends on Facebook, that she had teas, and I'm like, oh, which ones do you have? So she messaged me. She's like, hang on, it's going to be long. So she sent me, a thing of all their teas, and I picked out 3 of them that I liked. This one is Earl Grey Bravo. It smells so good. If you like Earl Grey, you probably like this. I have not tasted this one yet, but it's like a euphoria. I had such an aroma therapy session the other day when I got these in. I was on cloud 9. The other one is Peach Bellini. She said her daughter actually eat this as a snack. It's kind of sticky, so it sort of blends together. It almost looks like trail mix. See? It smells so good. If you had smell-o-vision. And then this one is Red Tent. I have not tried this yet. It smells really good. It has some items in there that are supposed to help you with when you're menstruating, with the I don't know what the word is for it, but the effects of having your monthly, whether it be bloating and stuff like that, pain, cramps, blah, blah, blah. This is supposed to help you with that. I have not tasted it. I asked her what it tastes like. She said she knows one that likes it and one that, I don't know that if she's the one that likes it, but her sister does, or vice versa. But it smells good. Now, she also sent me this to try. She asked me if I would test it for her. It's called Almond Joy. So, of course, I had to test it the other night. And I think I've told you guys before, but I'll say it again. When I test out a new tea, especially if I think I'm going to like it, because there's some that I just know I don't like. But, so, what I did was I brewed it according to the instructions. I steeped it for the 3 minutes. Now, she put this one in a disposable tea bag. I have tea balls. I think that's what they're called. But the ones to brew, I have one that's in the shape of a swan, and I have a different kind that's like a spoon. And I also have the disposable tea bags that I'd gotten from Sips By. So I can do that for these. But she had put one in a tea bag for me, and she asked me to test it. So I brewed it according to the instructions, and the first thing I did was taste it. When I tasted it, it tasted like black tea with some coconut in it. I was getting the hints of coconut, but I wasn't really getting the hints of chocolate. So then I don't put artificial sweeteners in my tea. If I'm going to have tea, it's going to be preferably honey. If I have honey, I'm going to use honey. If I don't have honey, I'll use regular sugar. I had honey, so I put some honey in. Once I put the honey in, it brought out the sweet notes of the chocolate and the coconut. So I was tasting more of the chocolate and coconut, but there was still a little bit of a bite of the black tea. So I went and I use heavy whipping cream in my tea if I'm going to use any, or milk. And I went and put in a dollop of heavy whipping cream with it after that, and it actually brought out the creaminess of the chocolate with the chocolate flavor and the coconut, and it was delicious. So I'd let her know. I told her step by step what I did and how I liked it, so she'd know. And she's probably like, did you like it or not? But yes, that's exactly what I did. So I'll let you know how the other ones are. I haven't tried them yet. So I'm excited for her to do well. Alright, so that's that. What else do I have? I have my plans. I also have a little video that you should get a real kick out of if you follow Gunner. I am going to tag that to the back because it was hysterical. My plans are to... Oh, before my plans, I wanted to show you real quick that I showed that I had gotten Liberty Games from Erica Michaels. I bought that from Tiny Hummingbird Stitchery, and I fully kitted it. I ended up kitting it with Heroic from Picture This Plus, and I didn't use all the called for threads. I used close enough for me threads. How about that? So this is what I went with on this Heroic. So those are the colors I chose. So that's fully kitted for when I want to start. This might be one of my soon future starts. And then, last but not least, my plans. This is what I'm stitching on when I'm done here. So while this is uploaded, I'm going to get this on the Q-Snap. It is Yoda from Valente Cross Stitch. I am not sure if this is one that you can get to right now. I'm not sure if she was a Russian designer or not. So you can try. And it's being stitched on hand-dyed by the Slovak Farm. And this is where I'm starting at. That's how much I have done of Yoda. I have more of these needle minders, a smaller version. He's slightly smaller. When I reordered, it was just a different size. Same picture, but I do have those available in my group, and I am stitching this with the called for threads. So that's all I got. I will see you in 2 weeks, and that's all I got, I guess. I don't know. A lot of things swirl in my head, but enjoy my little video of Gunner. Just for context, we were outside last night, and I saw something in the yard, and I'm like, oh my goodness, what is that? It's a toad. It was upside down. I thought it was dead, but the way his tether is, I think it was in the grass, and it skimmed it, like underneath it, and turned it over, and he just laid there playing dead. But you'll see what happened when Gunner went and checked it out. Don't forget, don't let anyone steal your sunshine.
Leave it alone. I think it's dead. It's not going to make it alive. Get it. What did I say? Yeah. Update. He's alive. He was faking it. Get it. Gunner, get over here. Leave him alone. Leave him alone before he makes you sick. Come on, Dodo. What did I say? See? He's going to touch you. You're going to freak out. Come on. Let's go. In the house.